What's everybody doing out there? Just looking what you want to look like on camera. Looks like I've been boxing. I haven't been in a boxing ring in 10 years. My goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. Hello everyone. I am Ryan, and this is the R NBA show. R stands for, we'll go with Ryan this week. R stands for Ryan. I've been telling my brother I was going to do a video log NBA show for like the last 5 years, and finally getting around to it. Omicron and its partial lockdown has given me kind of all the inspiration I need to go ahead and at least try to record a few of them. I love the NBA. I've got a lot to say, so I'm just going to get right to it. No intro music, nothing like that. First up is Zach Lavine. I want to let all you guys out there know I called this 5, 6 years ago. When he got to Minnesota, it took me about 10, 15 games of watching him play to tell you he was going to be a fantastic pro. He had excellent mechanics on his jump shot, even though it didn't go in all the time. He had a really nice handle. He was quick. He could play at all three levels, I thought. And I said he was better than Wiggins when everybody was still real high on Maple Jordan. I said it. I didn't like the trade for Butler. I said it then. I'm saying it now. I thought that was a mistake. I thought Minnesota overrated. I love Jimmy Butler and the kind of player he is, but I thought Minnesota overrated Butler and were significantly underrating Zach Lavine's ability to play at a superstar level. And I think he's found the right team. He's found his rhythm. He's got a couple running mates in DeRozan and the ball kid, Lonzo, and is working in Chicago. Now, for playoffs, they're number one in the East right now. I think it'll be some learning lessons. I mean, I think they maybe get out of the first round, but get bit by Miami they'll probably get bit by Miami, Milwaukee, or Brooklyn, however that top four rounds out. But I do expect them to get out of the first round, and maybe they're competitive, game six. But I think they got a lot to learn. I'll be honest, I was surprised. I didn't think they'd be this good. I want to know what got into DeMar DeRozan, right? I thought he was left for dead after that first year in San Antonio. It felt like all his juice was gone, and he's been rejuvenated. I do think that they, being DeMar and Zach and the Bulls front office and the Bulls coaching staff, are going to have to decide sooner rather than later who is the alpha and who is the beta. I saw Zach's response to that first game winner, that one-legged shot that DeMar took. I don't know what he was doing. And Zach looked not too happy about it. Then DeRozan comes back the next night, he hits another one. And, it's good to see him celebrate then. But if you check out that first response on that one he hit, I think it was against the Pacers, Zach kind of looked like, hey, man, that was a, kind of a BS shot, dude. You could have passed me the ball. So I think there's a little bit of that brewing. I think they're winning enough, and it's Zach's first time winning like this, that it won't be that big of a deal. But in my mind, Zach is the alpha. He's better than DeRozan. I love DeRozan, but I've seen enough of him in the playoffs over the last decade to feel like he can't really turn it up. And that's kind of what superstars do in the playoffs. And we'll see what Zach can do. Right? Zach still has his playoff career ahead of him. But nonetheless, it's good to see DeRozan back and playing well. Again, I wasn't sure what happened in San Antonio. I'm sure it wasn't pop, but it was kind of disheartening to see DeRozan fade like that. So it's good to see he's got life in him. Next up, the Warriors. I want to talk about the Warriors. I was very surprised. I knew Steph would come back with a vengeance, but I didn't think they would be sitting at 29-7 and half a game up on the Suns. And so they've got a pretty solid hold on the 1 or 2 seed in the West, and they look like the team to beat. And very surprised. But I will say this: I wasn't a huge fan of the Warriors before because I was a LeBron and Cleveland fan. But the Warriors are fun to watch. This version of the Warriors are fun to watch, and I do find myself finally rooting for Steph. He's a good dude. He's fun to watch play. I told my brother over the break, um, Steph is probably the best three-point shooter for sure, but he's the best at using his three-point shot as a weapon. Another person who was pretty good at this during his kind of elite run, if you want to call it that, was Kevin Love. By that I mean he uses his Steph uses his 3-point or the threat of his 3-point shot to get a defender just a little bit off balance, and then that's usually how he's able to go by either for mid range or penetrating kick or that little scoop action shot that he's got when he gets into the lane. But it's been fun to watch him play, man. I didn't think he'd come back this hard, and the team they just it's like Steve Kerr has got those guys playing real team ball in the NBA, and it is fun to watch them move the ball, run their offense, the trickiness and the type of plays that they run for Steph to get him open aren't plays that even NBA defenses are used to. They do a lot of inversion, they do a lot of like baseline screens, they do a lot of stuff screening after misses, which you don't really see in high school and college ball. Right? I mean, if they get an offensive rebound, it looks like they have plays but based on where Steph is when they get the offensive rebound, and you'll see guys start screening for Steph if an offensive rebound comes off, which you don't really see that often. But fair play to them, if they're doing stuff like that, then they deserve to be the top seed in the West. Now, I'm not sure that they're going to win the championship. I've heard a lot about they're the team to beat, and they can't be beat, and they get to the playoffs, it's going to be a rout. I'm not so sure, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to skip ahead to I want to talk a little bit about Klay Day because I like Klay as well, but I am not sure about his return, and the reason I say that is because Jordan Poole looks really good. He looks really good. That guy has come on really strong. He plays with a lot of confidence. He shoots with a lot of confidence. He looks like a two-guard who's here to stay. And I'm not sure what Klay's return does to that. I heard Steve Kerr say a few days ago that Klay's going to start. And I'm not sure that. I don't know that I would start Klay. I would probably bring him back, particularly given that he had was an ACL and then an Achilles tear back to back. So, I would probably bring him along slowly into NBA action, given that everybody else is NBA ready. And, beyond giving him a high five when he steps onto the court, those other guys on the other side aren't going to be too forgiving. So, and then I wonder what his shots and his minutes do to Jordan Poole's confidence. Because Jordan Poole naturally has to be thinking, hey, man, we're 29-7. I'm the second leading scorer. I know what Klay meant and means, but I'm a big part of why we're 29-7 at, near the midway point. And you start taking shots from a guy, 10, 12 shots from a guy, and minutes from a guy, you're going to have questions. And after questions, you're going to have problems. Because Jordan Poole is a professional basketball player. And professional basketball players like professional investment bankers, professional professors, professional NASCAR drivers, professional computer coders. They have some level of self-awareness and selfishness. So we'll see. But good for Klay. I'm glad he's back. It's good to see him back. And I'm excited to see what they do. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they can play together. But, you got Wiggins playing well. I think Wiggins is averaging about 17 points per game, and he's found a really nice groove as a third man without too much pressure that can still get after you defensively. They can use him to switch 1 through 4, so he's got to be on the court. Draymond's got to be on the court because he acts as their point forward. And then they need a big. So there's going to be a minute squeeze. And even if you push Poole or push Klay to a small forward. Let's say Klay is a step slow, and so they want to move him to small forward and keep Poole on the court. But then you got the same problem, I guess, to a lesser extent, but you're going to still have the same problem with Wiggins, right? Wiggins feels like he's got a home as a third wheel, and he's found a groove. He's playing really well. It's good to see him playing well and kind of finding himself. And so again, you start taking shots and minutes from a guy who is, one of the top three players on, and he is a top three player. Wiggins is better than Draymond Green. I don't think there's any debate about that. But nonetheless, you start taking minutes and shots from a guy who's the third best player on a team that's the number one team in the NBA. You're gonna have a problem, right? He's gonna start having questions after a few games, and those questions are gonna turn into some issues and some concerns. So good luck to Steve Kerr dealing with it, and I do look forward to them working through it and actually being a fan of the Warriors come the playoffs. So I'm going to save my Lakers for last. Everybody knows I'm a LeBron homer. I don't make any secret about that, but I'm going to save my analysis of what I think of the Lakers for last. Top 10 players. So here are the top 10 players I've got this week. Steph. This is in no particular order, but kind of in order. So Steph, KD, CP3, and Book. Spider, I think he's playing well. I don't think he really gets enough recognition. I think it's the whole Utah thing. If that guy was playing in New York or Miami, Chicago, somewhere else, I think he'd see a lot more national publicity. I like his game. I really love his attitude and who he is as a person. LeBron is kind of rejuvenated. I think every time he hears some people talking a little bit of smack about he's too old, he's too this, he's too that, and he's like, let me go to work. And he's going to go on to work and kind of keeping the Lakers afloat. Zach, I talked about him already. DeMar, I thought I got him in there just because the Bulls are number one by 2 games right now, and you can't dismiss that. And then Jamel Demetrius Kirk, I call him the captain. Some of you will get that, some of you won't. But he's hooping, and he's got his team in the 4th seed in the West. I don't know that they'll catch Utah, so they may be let's say Utah. They're 2.5 behind, 3.5, 3 behind Utah, and 5 behind or ahead of Denver. So that might be their spot. I don't think they're good enough team or better than Utah. And 5 games is a lot to make up. Although we've got half a season left, so we'll see. I wanted to talk a little bit about Jim Harden. I had said for a long time Jim was one of my favorite players. I really liked how he got better year after year, how he was patient in OKC. If you guys remember when he first went to Houston, I know it was a while ago, everybody was like, we don't know what he's going to be. And then off the bat, he was just crushing it, and he crushed it for, 7 years? 7 years in Houston. I don't know that Jimmy will ever be the same. I just don't, man. I watched probably 10 games of his this year. He looks sluggish. He does look overweight. He looks to be struggling with the new rules. Every time I watch him, at least 2 or 3 times, he'll do his little hook move, and then he'll either get a no call or the refs will call offensive, an offensive call. And he looks like he doesn't understand that they've got new rules, and they're not going to let him do that foul baiting anymore. And maybe some of those free throws are kind of padding his averages and making him look more efficient than his game was without that foul baiting. I will say that I definitely think eliminating all that kicking into guys when you shoot, all that unnatural shooting motion, and the hooking and the baiting, the game is a lot cleaner without that. The next thing they need to do is get rid of that take a foul. I told my brother this. He was like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you foul somebody on the break, that should be an intentional or a technical foul unless you get 1 free throw on the ball. You should not be able to stop a fast break with a foul. That's not how fouling was designed. That wasn't the intent of foul calls. That is the very intent of intentional or technical. Stopping a guy just by smacking him or grabbing him, that's an intentional foul. And it should be called as such, or at least be called a technical foul. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know he's averaging about 23 points. They keep saying he's going to get in shape. He's going to get in shape. But we're halfway through the season, and he's still not in shape. Now, he could be, dealing with that lingering hamstring injury. That could be the case. But still, you like to see, guys that play at that level and that are that good, at least kind of rounding themselves into some type of shape. And who knows? Hoping Kyrie's return. I think he's going to play away games only, if I'm not mistaken. So Brooklyn kind of reversed course on that pretty quickly. They're like, "Hey, man, we got a championship on the line, and this dude can help, and so we want him on the team." I'm curious to how that's going to work. I played on a team before that would feel kind of awkward. Like I don't think he can practice in Brooklyn or in New York City. I think he can only play on the road where they don't have any COVID, where the rules don't prohibit guys who haven't been vaxxed from playing. So just from a chemistry standpoint, I'm interested to see how that feels because basketball is very chemistry oriented, and guys have to have a really good feeling for each other, backdoor, off the ball. What are you doing here? What am I doing there? And he's been gone for half the season, and he's only going to play half the remaining games theoretically. So I'm interested to see how that takes. All right, I'm going to talk about my Lakers. So first thing, Russ Westbrook has been one of my favorite players since he came into the league. I loved his energy. I loved how he went after people, how he really didn't care, how he was willing to compete. He really was the epitome of a bulldog on the court. He went after everybody. He played with a reckless abandon. It was fun to watch up until this year. Like even in Washington last year, I watched them in the playoffs. I cheered for him. I thought he was the X factor in getting Washington into the playoffs and competing for how they did. I think he played the Celtics. But it is not working in LA. I thought it would. I thought they would make room for Russ. I thought he'd be a little bit more efficient than he's been and be a little bit better in what he had to know was going to be a more limited role, playing with Bradley Beal. Even if they're running the plays for Brad Beal, Russ is still, pretty much an equal to Bradley Beal. He's not an equal to LeBron. He's not an equal to AD. And I think he's kind of struggled with that. I don't think the Lakers are done, but I do think the Lakers need to do this thing that I'm getting ready to tell you all, right? And it's not really that controversial, right? So the Lakers need to design a system in which Russ can flourish on a 10-10-10 goal, right? He should be looking to score 10 points, get 10 rebounds, and most importantly, get 10 assists, whether that's full court, downhill, half court, downhill, high screen roll, turning the corner, really focusing on getting those 10 assists and making that happen. I think the Lakers have enough scoring / shooting that those 10 assists can come pretty easily. And I think if he focused more on 10 opportunity points, meaning fast break, breakdown in defense, and he gets to the basket, step in, open, 15, 18 footer off a swing, instead of trying to be Russell Westbrook, 25, 30-point scorer of yore, even 20-point scorer of yore, I think that would immediately pay dividends, and you would see the Lakers, once AD comes back, get back into the playoff picture. I think they're 5 games back with half the season to go, so they could. I think, conceivably they go on a run. Maybe they play Memphis 2 or 3 more times, and so they make up some ground there. But I think the Lakers could conceivably get into that 4 spot, and again, as long as AD comes back healthy, could be formidable in the playoffs. But it would start with Russ and Frank Vogel both committing and then planning for him to be a 10-10-10 guy. And again, focusing on those 10 opportunity points as opposed to really trying to make way for Russ to be part of the offense. I think if you did that, plus the Monk kid out of Kentucky looks really good in the starting role as the number 2 guy behind LeBron. I think because he can shoot it and because he's really smooth with it, I don't think he has a problem pushing down to the 3rd spot when AD gets back. And so if you have an AD, I'll talk about him in a second, what they need from him. But if you have an AD, LeBron, Monk is your 3rd piece, and then Russ really focusing on being a 10-10-10 guy. And again, really 10 opportunity points, meaning, we're not going to be running too many plays for you. I mean, there may be a screen roll here, a screen roll there, but we're not trying to integrate you into the offense, grab a rebound, push it like he does so well, get points that way, but really focus on the rebounds and the assists. I think you see the Lakers offense open up a little bit more. I think you see the Lakers offense open up a little bit more. And I think you see Russ come to life with some purpose. I think he's got a little bit loss of purpose in terms of am I what I was in Houston and Washington and OKC, or am I supposed to be something new? And if it's something new, does it really work? Well, yeah, if Russ was averaging 10-10-10 right now and the Lakers were, 30-6, everybody would be lauding Russ. He'd be in the All-Star game for sure, and he'd be talked about as a potential All-NBA. So I think that's what they need to do. I don't know if they'll do it or not. I think they're kind of intent on trying to make Russ what Russ was, and you can't have Russ of old as the number 3 option. That's just not going to work. And so I don't know if it's Frank. I don't know if it's the front office. I don't know if it's LeBron and AD, but somebody has to go to him. But most importantly, Russ has to buy into that and say, you know what, I can still be Mr. Triple-Double. And I can impact this team. And if we're winning and I win a championship, then, nobody's going to care that I average 10, 11 points. They're just going to say I averaged a triple-double on a championship team, and he'll have all the shine and credibility he needs. As for AD, when he gets back, he needs to be jealous of Giannis. That's plain and simple. There was a time, less than 18 months ago that he and Giannis were really, he was considered better than Giannis. Then they became kind of equal, and now he's keeping it straight up and down. Giannis is better than AD. It's to be honest, it's kind of not close. Just seeing what Giannis did in the playoffs last year in the championship, and I know they kind of got a lucky break here or there, particularly with the Kyrie Irving injury. I thought with Kyrie they beat, even without Jimmy. I think with Kyrie they beat the Bucks. But nonetheless, they won the championship. You can't take it from him. The guy played really well. He's continued his ascent. He was out when he came back. I think they were 12th or 13th in the East, and now they're number 3, and tied with Brooklyn, 2 games back. So, I would get envious of Giannis and say, hey, wait a minute, you guys forgot about me. And, I'm going to show you I can do everything that guy does defensively, rebounding, playing full court, playing in transition, playing inside out, playing outside in, and just really impacting the game any and every which way. So I think AD needs to let go of his, proclamation that he's not a center. He doesn't want to play the 5. You often see Giannis, particularly in the second quarter and fourth quarter, playing the 5, and it doesn't, it doesn't change his game. He still handles the ball. He still shoot the 3 when he wants. He'll still go full court. He'll still play on the perimeter. He'll still play in the post. It doesn't really alter how he plays. It just makes the matchups that much harder for the other team. Because Ayton really couldn't. You notice when they went Giannis at the 4 or at the 5, Ayton really, last year really wasn't. It really wasn't a competition when Giannis went to the 5. So doing that, if AD decided to do that and embrace that more, he would just create the same type of mismatches for himself and then for his team defensively, particularly for teams like the Suns who rely on Ayton for their high screen and roll. So, or the Warriors. I know they don't rely on the center for scoring, but they do rely on him for screening and for some of their offensive sets. So, yeah, I really, and I got it. I tell my brother all the time. I'm gonna give up on the Lakers because they've kind of been disappointing this year, but I'm not gonna give up on them until they lose in the playoffs. Because I'm a huge LeBron fan. I don't care. I love LeBron. He's a good dude. He's been a fun player to watch. My third favorite player behind Kobe and LeBron, or Kobe and MJ. So, yeah, I'm going to keep on watching. But I think if they did that, again, if Russ could commit to being a 10-10-10 triple-double guy and truly commit to it and not need to get shots game plan for him, and AD could come back healthy and then say, you guys must have forgot about who I am, and show them that Giannis isn't the only versatile big at that level, at that superstar level in the league. And then I think keep the Monk kid rolling. He's been impressive. They tried THT. I think they tried a couple guys in that role. The kid, I think, from Texas A&M, I forget his name, and then the other, Bazemore. But Monk is a legit scorer. Like you could watch him at Kentucky and tell he was smooth in terms of his scoring ability. So it's good to see him finding a home. And I think if they could, make him the legit third scoring option, and then Russ could fill that 10-10-10 role as a backcourt. And Russ still has the athleticism to make life heck for other point guards, particularly in the playoffs where it's mano-a-mano. So I'm thinking Chris Paul, who I love, Ja Morant. You can put him on Spider Mitchell. He's only, I think he's only 6'3". Steph. Jamal Murray comes back. So there's a handful of guards in the West that the Lakers have played that Russ still has the athleticism and the speed and the tenacity to make life really difficult for. So people who say, it's not working. Yeah, it's not working in its current form, but it could work. There just needs to be some material changes and shifts in kind of attitude. So who knows? I'm not sure that'll happen. I don't make $44 million a year. Russ does, and he made that by having the attitude he's had since, he probably started playing basketball. So sometimes those things are kind of difficult to change. But long term, it would be a huge boon for his legacy if he took on that role and won a championship, because it would separate him from all the others who haven't won. So, all right, I've been talking for 28 minutes. I am committed to doing these once a week through the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I've been saying I was going to do these video logs for almost 5 years now. So I think I can carve out some time to do it. This is the RNBA video log. R stands for Resplendent. Quick note on movie talks. I'll do this at the end of every episode. Spider-Man 3 was great. If you haven't seen it, see it. I love what they did with the multiverse. I honestly thought it was going to be kind of whack when I kind of heard about the multiverse thing. It sounded like a real nerd. The multiverse. Like, all right, nerd. I don't want to, who cares about the multiverse? But it was cool, really cool, how they did it and bringing back all the Spider-Mans and the villains. That was pretty cool. On another note, Matrix was pretty whack. I was really disappointed. Out of those two, I was looking most forward to seeing the Matrix, and Matrix disappointed me big time. There was nothing new. Given all the advances in film since '99, I thought for sure they would have something new. There was nothing new. The storyline was incredibly difficult to follow. And it just felt real cliche and kind of prisoner of the moment in terms of the direction they decided to go with it. So a little disappointed. Hopefully that's the end of it. And I'll just remember seeing that part one in the theater for the first time when I was a freshman in college and just realizing like, oh my goodness, this was so good. So yeah, I'm out. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you.